Hello everybody and welcome back to another exciting week of the Pioneers Weekly Football Preview, where we take a look at high school, college, and professional games coming up on the weekend schedule. Starting things off in the high school ranks this week, Big Rapids coming off clinching a playoff berth last week is at 6-1. They will host Newaygo, who's also 6-1 on the year. Obviously both teams have sewn up their playoff berths, but a lot still on the line in terms of the CSAA race and playoff positioning. Bob, can you talk about what's at stake for Big Rapids this weekend and who has the advantage in this matchup?
You touched on it earlier. What's at stake is playoff positioning. Neither team can afford to lose this game. They have a chance to host a one first round game, but after that it's probably iffy, and definitely they won't if they lose a second time. This game's going to be won in the trenches. Newaygo likes to run the wing tee, run it down your throat. So does Big Rapids. I like Big Rapids in this game. I think it's going to be a tightly contested game, but Big Rapids will win this one, something like 21-18.
Brandon, I would imagine that the team turnovers are going to be a big factor in this game. Can you talk about who you've got coming out on top in this matchup?
I think this week it's going to be determined by a big play, and I think Big Rapids is going to pull that off. They had a punt return against Chippewa Hills for a touchdown, and I think, again, you're going to see that, especially with two running teams that like to clobber each other up at the line. I figure Big Rapids will pull it out by 7.
Yeah, Brandon touched on it. Big plays will be a factor for the Cardinals this weekend. They've developed more big play threats as the season's gone on in the return game and even in the running game. I expect Big Rapids to win by a couple touchdowns in this one and improve to 7-1. Our next matchup, we have Chippewa Hills still fighting for its playoff life and trying to clinch a playoff berth. They're looking to go 5-3 this weekend when they host Hesperia, who's coming off a loss to Reed City, in which they played the Coyotes pretty competitively. This is a Hesperia team, Bob, that has been very competitive with a lot of the top teams in the league, is yet to get a win. Do you see them as a threat to defeat Chippewa Hills on Friday?
Absolutely. Chippewa Hills has struggled really to put anyone away, minus White Cloud, and they keep teams in games, and that can get dangerous. Hesperia is good enough that they can make this game interesting. I believe that Chippewa Hills playmakers will rise to the occasion and get them this win, but I don't think it's going to be pretty, just like most of the season.
Brandon, how about the Chippewa Hills offense? It's kind of been, hit or miss a lot of times. They look really good for a few drives and then they disappear. What do they have to do this weekend against Hesperia to get back on track?
They're going to need to go with what works, and that's going to their playmakers like Trent Garcher. They're going to need to go to the air. They're going to need to pound the ball. We got to figure out what Chippewa Hills team is going to show up. Their defense has been pretty good. This is week 2 of the playoffs for them, and they need to win. I see Chippewa Hills pulling out a squeaker by 6.
Yeah, Chippewa Hills has kind of been its own worst enemy a lot of times, offensively at least this season. If they can put 48 minutes together on Friday, I think they can win big against Hesperia. I think they're a more talented team, but consistency is going to be the key for the Warriors. I think they win by a couple touchdowns this weekend. It could be more if they play consistently enough. Moving on to college ranks. This weekend, Ferris State hosting homecoming against Hillsdale is riding a huge wave of momentum right now, coming off the biggest win for the program in years, dismantling Grand Valley State over the weekend in the Anchorbone Classic for their first win in that rivalry since 1999. Bob, I think the question heading into the homecoming weekend for Ferris State is, can they keep this momentum going, and how do they match up against the Hillsdale team this weekend?
After a big win, I think any coaches would tell you the biggest problem Ferris might have is guarding against a letdown. It's not going to be easy then to go up against Hillsdale, who's going to come in here. They're 4-2, looking to keep some momentum themselves. I like Ferris to continue to run the ball like they did against Grand Valley. Probably not to the success that they had, but they're going to win this one, give the homecoming crowd something to cheer for, and I see something like a 31-14 final.
Brandon, how much does a win like Ferris just had over Grand Valley help their team's confidence like that? And do you feel like that will play a factor for the Bulldogs this weekend?
I think it'll absolutely be a factor for a lot of the guys, especially the upperclassmen who have had to face Grand Valley before. The last couple of years haven't been pretty against them, so this will help lead them into this game. I think they're going to go right back to what works, and that's going on the ground. And their offense is potent, so I would say 2 scores this week and a homecoming win.
Yeah, I think Ferris State, one thing to keep in mind with this matchup is that Ferris State will not be playing against the Grand Valley defense that was not good against the run this week. Hillsdale is ranked first in the GLIAC in rush defense, so that's going to be a huge factor in this game. I think there are a couple of big factors in this game is the way that Ferris is pounding the ball right now, but also the way that their defense is playing. It really shut down the Lakers over the weekend, the best offense in the GLIAC. That's why I have Ferris State winning this weekend. They're beginning to put it together on both sides of the ball. I've got them winning this one 24-17. Looking to our final matchup of the week, we head to the NFL, where the Detroit Lions are exactly where we expected them to be at 1-3 right now. And it doesn't get any easier for them as they face the NFC East leading Philadelphia Eagles this weekend on the road. Bob, can you talk a little bit about the Detroit's chances to get back on track after an abysmal start to the season?
Detroit's defense has been nothing short of atrocious so far in the first 4 games of the year. But I think Louis Delmas coming back is going to shore up some things. But the biggest key is getting some pressure up front. Ndamukong Suh, Vanden Bosch, they've been kind of non-factors so far, Cliff Averill. They got to get some protection from up front. I don't think it's going to happen this week against Philadelphia. I think Michael Vick will escape, use his legs to hurt the Lions. I see Philadelphia winning this one 24-14.
Brandon, why don't you go ahead and give us a Lions rant this week?
Well, thank you. Quite honestly, there's more talent in Michael Vick's big toe than in Detroit's secondary. There's no defensive up front pressure. He's going to escape. It's going to be abysmal again. It's just woe is me. So I'm going to say Philly's going to put a hurting on him again. And they might as well get used to it because it's going to be a season-long trend.
Well, I think the Lions, true to form, will play very well this week after they played poorly the last few weeks. I just don't think it's going to be enough on the road against a good Philadelphia team. I see Detroit playing one of its best games of the season and then falling late in this one, something like 28-24. Closing out this week's program, we once again revisit this week's game balls, which we give to a high school player who had an exceptional performance in helping his team to victory. Starting things off this week, Bob, can you give us your game ball?
My game ball goes to Mitch McDonald up at Pine River. He helped the Bucks to a 28-12 victory over Marion, accounting for all 4 touchdowns, 2 by rush, threw for a touchdown, and had a fumble recovery return for a touchdown, and helped Pine River to their 2nd win. Congratulations, Mitch McDonald.
Brandon, who do you got for this week's game ball pick?
I'm taking my pogo stick up to Baldwin for Andon Ware, 6 touchdowns. That's just ludicrous. Good job, Andon.
Yeah, I think the theme of this week's game balls is touchdowns. I've got Garrett Benson, running back from Breed City. He scored 4 times in his team's homecoming win over Hesperia, 3 times on the ground and once through the air. Congratulations on a successful game, Garrett. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Pioneers Weekly Football Preview. As always, make sure to check out BigRapidsNews.com for updates on all these games throughout the weekend, or check out the weekend edition of the Pioneer.